we know the permutations going into this game. A point, and that's it. We don't need to talk about relegation again for a long time. Let's just hope that we can get the job done. We don't want it going to the last day, do we?
No.
Because then all those nerves start to come in, the anxiety starts to set in. We know the record at Stamford Bridge, but we also know the record at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I mean, are you more comfortable going to Stamford Bridge and getting it done or doing it at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
We have a worse record even at the Tottenham Stadium in the last 10 games at Stamford Bridge. It's insane when you think about it. But I don't think I'm more comfortable going to Stamford Bridge. No, there's just something in my intrinsically...
Even against this Chelsea team, even against, you saw how tied they were in the FA Cup final as well.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can never, ever be comfortable and confident going to Stamford Bridge. Never. I've never, ever been comfortable. So I can't just change it now, even though all the situations going to... It just seems as though Chelsea just trumps all of that. Chelsea-Tottenham trumps everything. But let's hope I'm wrong on that one. But... as you say, 1 point. That's got to be the focus. We need 1 point to survive, and we have to we got an opportunity here to put it to bed, get the point, take it away from the Bridge, and end this season, put it behind us, and we can just move forward. We don't want to leave this open. We got a chance to put this to bed, to finish it. We can't give West Ham another opening. We can't give them another chance. If we don't win this, if we lose this game, I think that gives West Ham another shot in the arm, another boost. Obviously, they got a decent home record as well. I think they beat Leeds, and then all of a sudden, the pressure ramps up on that final day at home when we haven't been good. All of a sudden, you go 1-0 down in that game, and you think about the nerves, and you think about how worried and the anxiety, and we've already seen how Tottenham react when that seeps into the team and into the crowd. This team, even under De Zerbi, is not immune to that. We've seen us panic on a few occasions when there's anxiety in the team and on the pitch. So, you don't want to leave that to chance. Anything can happen in one game. You can't leave it all up to one game. So I think it's imperative we get the job done. We have a chance to finish it. Let's finish it tomorrow. Let's finish it.
Completely agree. You're looking at the form, though, of these two teams. Is this the worst Chelsea team that we've actually faced in the last 20 years in the Premier League? It's got to be, right?
Yeah, it's even definitely worse than the team we faced 10 years ago, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at the talent that team had 10 years ago. Nothing. I think this team has nothing on that.
Not just the talent, which is undeniable, the likes of Hazard, Costa, Terry, but there's one thing you could never fault that Chelsea side when the going got tough, even when they were having bad seasons, when they got to a big game like a cup final, or even like playing Arsenal for some reason. When they played Arsenal, they would always turn up. Like, they had a certain mentality when it came to big moments. They could always show up. You could never take anything for granted against that Chelsea team, and they knew with some of those players in that team, again, when Tottenham came to town, they had the players with that mentality that they could just show up, and you could never ever take it for granted. This Chelsea team just don't have that same mentality. You see it, even they've not won a cup final now in domestically at Wembley for 7 years or 7 attempts.
4 FA Cup finals in a row they've lost.
4 in a row. The mentality just isn't the same as it was back in that side. And also, I think there isn't as many players in that dressing room who really feel, what it means to be at Chelsea like it did 10 years ago. So I think there's definitely a mentality problem at Chelsea compared to other Chelsea sides. They're very young team. So they're very much, at the whims of inconsistency of very young players. And right now, they're in an absolute rut. They're obviously a bit better now than they were maybe if you cast mine a few weeks ago. They've obviously beaten Leeds in the semi-final. They had a draw at Anfield. Not a bad performance in the cup final as well.
Tudor got a draw at Anfield.
It's true, but I'm just saying, we're comparing to losing 3-0 to Forest and losing 3-0 to Everton and some of the performances they were putting in before. I'm not saying it's loads better, but it's just a bit better than maybe it was. You got to take that into account. But there's definitely, when you watch this Chelsea team, it is a Chelsea team that seems running on empty. They seem a bit lost. They seem to have lost that kind of motivation to really give that extra little bit to win games. And whether they have it back in this game, we'll have to wait and see, because it is Tottenham coming to town and they usually do find something extra against us. But I'm just judging. All you got to do is judge what you've seen so far in the last few games, and I don't think really McFarlane has changed tons, to be honest. I don't think it's like Chelsea are looking refreshed or anything like that. They just seem to be maybe giving a little bit more, and maybe there's just a few tactical tweaks that made them a little bit more difficult to play against. But I would say it's not like they'd be much better on the ball or anything like that. They still seem a little bit lost and a little bit devoid of direction, I would say.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you're looking at that home form of Chelsea. They haven't won at home since January, since the latter stages of January. They've lost 4 games in a row. It's just like I just don't understand this. You don't associate this with a Chelsea team. Even a poor Chelsea team, they were always good at home. They could always pick up points at Stamford Bridge. This team have just shown no ability in 2026 really to pick up points at Stamford Bridge, never mind away from home.
I mean, you cast your mind back to, when was it, October or November? Chelsea are home to Arsenal. They're down to 10 men in the first half. You're thinking, that should be an Arsenal win, yet they somehow drag a draw out of that. They score, they get a 1-1 draw, and they played really well in that game. They could have even won it, if I remember rightly. So that was the kind of Chelsea, that was the first half of the season. They were a tough team to play against. They were not an easy team. And now, ever since Rossini's come in, they've just lost all of that kind of tactical nous about them, it seems. They just seem to have given up on the project. Obviously, Alonso's now there. So how much of an effect
hasn't started yet, though.
He hasn't started, but we'll see if there's like renewed belief in the project of the club. It just seemed as though with Rossini coming in, and then McFarlane, it's like the players are probably looking at this situation, and we had Maresca, we had a good thing going. They've got, because of disagreement to the hierarchy and the manager, whatever, they've screwed it all up. They've let go of a really good manager. They've brought in a novice who had no right to be in this job, who the players don't really respect. And obviously he's playing, I don't even know if the brand of football is a problem. It's more just like the personality of the manager. It seemed just the guy, like, who is this guy? Why did you replace Maresca with this guy? He is not at the same tactical level, the same level as a manager than we just had. You've already, gone in different directions previously. Every summer you seem to have a rebuild. Every summer you're, selling 10 players and bringing in 10 players, and you're lowering the age of the squad. In the summer you sold Jackson, you sold who else they sold? They sold the winger. I can't remember off the top of my head. Madueke. You're bringing in like Garnacho, you're bringing in Delap, you're probably worsening the squad summer on summer. Now, then you're not just worsening the squad, you're worsening the manager, right? And if you're a player like Caicedo or Enzo or whatever, you're probably looking at this like, what the hell is going on? What are you doing? You can't get out of your own way, essentially. So that would obviously lead to a lot of disgruntlement, like, where's this club going? Why am I even here? I've signed an 8-year deal, to be at this club because I've bought into the long-term future, and now I feel more of like a prisoner because I'm stuck here because I can't move because you bought me for 100 million and I've signed an 8-year deal. No, there's no way of me even getting out of this club at this point. So that could obviously lead to a lot of disgruntlement and a lot of like, where is this club going? But now they've got Alonso, all of a sudden, do the players start looking at it thinking, okay, maybe, with him coming in, if we do have a decent summer, there is a pathway forward. There can be renewed kind of vigour and confidence in the club and the project with that kind of figurehead. They've given him the title as manager, not head coach. So they're signaling, we're going to give this guy more power. We're going to give him, we're going to back him. Obviously, you've got a kind of the actions speak louder than words kind of thing, but maybe with someone like announcing a manager like him coming into the club, that could give the players a little bit of renewed kind of optimism. Wherever before it seemed as though they were kind of in the wilderness and they seem lost. Whereas even though he's not actually managing, it might just give that players a little lift within the club rather than anything else. And maybe they'll want to fight for that place in Europe a little bit more than they would have if they didn't know that Alonso was going to be here next season.
Yeah, there definitely is that element to it. I'm not sure how much of an impact it has because I just think they're coming into this. They're going to come into this really tired just off the bat because it's not just they're off the back of the FA Cup final. They, like Lewis said, they have not had a break since the Club World Cup. Mm-hmm. They're literally playing non-stop. They know they've got a World Cup just around the corner as well. The majority of the players are going to be playing in that. It's just like these Chelsea players are literally just running on empty right now. Mm-hmm. They do have very good players there. Don't get me wrong. You're looking at Caicedo, you're looking at Enzo, you're looking at Cucurella. I don't think it's not stacked with quality like it was 10 years ago, but there are still very, very good players in that Chelsea team. And, you're talking about the bad decisions in the summer. Everyone was saying Liam Delap was a great signing for them in the summer because of the back of the season he had for Ipswich, scoring all those goals last season in the Premier League. And everyone thought, on the face of things, I think the narrative in the summer was Liam Delap would have been an upgrade on Nicholas Jackson. Just hasn't worked out that way, and Delap's have been, pretty awful this season. So what I think is the biggest element in the game this weekend is going to be the fans. I really think the fans, when you go to Stamford Bridge, the fans are on top of you, particularly when Spurs go there. There's that narrative where Spurs never do anything at Stamford Bridge, but are the fans going to have that kind of same veracity about them going into the game tomorrow, knowing how bad Chelsea have been? Do they have the palate to even fight for a Europa League spot? Is that what they want to be doing? I don't know. I just think the Chelsea fan base is just way too depressed for even that right now. And now we only need a point to stay up. Are they thinking, oh, all right, well, they're pretty much safe now anyway? So is there going to be that element going into the game this weekend? Is there going to be that kind of big atmosphere, which usually is when we go to Stamford Bridge?
I wonder if having McFarlane over like a Rossini for that might help them, because I don't know, has McFarlane, how long has he been there for? Is he a youth coach there? Like, is he a guy who knows Chelsea? Like, is he a proper Chelsea guy?
Well, he was there last time they lost the manager. He stayed in for a game as well when they drew with Man City, but I don't know how long he's been there for.
Yeah, because if he, I don't know, is he? I don't know if the chat knows, because if he is, maybe if he understands what this rivalry means a bit more than some of the other managers, maybe that could translate to the players, which, maybe you got to worry about a bit. But I think it's important just to quieten the crowd. I do think at the start of the game you'll hear the crowd, you'll hear them. I think at the start of the game the fans will be up for it.
He's been there since 2025, so he's not even a proper Chelsea guy. He was at Southampton, Man City beforehand.
Okay, so he's not like a Chelsea, like come through there, like wasn't like academy manager or anything like that.
He's been there for a couple of years, 3 years.
Yeah, I think that element's still there though, because the fans know it. Obviously, it's 10 years since Battle of the Bridge. You look back, maybe he'll show them highlights of that game, saying this is the kind of fight that we need to show if we're going to get something out of that game. I think the fans are going to be cheering every tackle. They're going to be up for it early on.
I don't know if they will be though.
I think they will, but it's all about us quietening them down. It's taking control of the game. If we get an early goal, all of a sudden, the thoughts flooding back of how bad they actually are, and reality
the Spurs
sets
fans
in.
Going to be a lot louder than the Chelsea fans tomorrow night.
I hope, might well be. I'm sure it's going to be a raucous atmosphere either way. But I think the Chelsea fans, obviously before the game, the form they're in, there's obviously not going to be much kind of optimism about optimism with the fact of how bad they've been playing, and there's not going to be that much belief that okay, we're going to roll Tottenham over. But if they do beat us and we force us to take to the final day, they won't want us to secure survival on their patch. They won't want that. The fans won't want that. They'll want to make it as difficult as possible for us. And there is going to be motivation there, but it's all about whether if we do take the lead and if we do take control of the game and we do kind of make sure that we quieten them down, we're the ones winning the duels, not them. We're the ones putting in the full-blooded challenges. Then all of a sudden, once reality starts to set in, then do they start to lose that belief and that hope, and can we quieten them down? And then maybe, if that happens, we can start to take control of the game.
Yeah, I mean, we say this every week, but I think it still stands this weekend about the first goal being vitally important. Mm-hmm. You've seen both clubs. You saw at Chelsea, Nottingham Forest a couple of weeks ago. Forest scored early doors, and then they just fell apart, didn't they, and go 3-0 down quite early. Whereas Spurs, you saw them concede that penalty to Leeds, and we started to shit the bed. We've seen it all season with Spurs. When we concede first, we haven't been able to pick up points. So if Spurs can get that early goal or a goal in the first half, something at Stamford Bridge, I actually think we can go on and win this game.
And I think in theory, when you think about it, just tactically, taking out the other stuff, I do think Chelsea, I know they've been playing a back three recently, but I think they're going to try and take the game to us, aren't they? They need to win, don't they?
And that suits us.
They have to win.
Yeah.
They're going to try and attack us. They're obviously not going to sit back. They're not going to try and ride out a draw or anything, because that doesn't help them anyway. They're going to come out and play and try and win. They're going to believe they can beat us if they do that anyway. So it's not like they're going to restrict themselves. They're going to try and really take the game to us. And I think that does probably suit De Zerbi a bit more, because you saw against Leeds, especially, like Kinski's trying to bait the press. He's trying to invite the pressure, yet they're not taking the bait, are they? They're holding their position. Whereas if Chelsea take the bait and all of a sudden a few passes and we can exploit that space, that's going to really suit Tottenham a lot more. I think we saw that against Villa. We got the early goal and all of a sudden Villa had to kind of force the issue a bit, and that really suited Tottenham. And all of a sudden we were playing quick passes and Villa couldn't handle it in that first half. So I think if Chelsea try and do that, plus if we're more energetic than them, we're more intense than them, we get in their faces a bit more. If they're not there 100% sharpness, I can see them making mistakes and us forcing those mistakes. And it's whether we exploit them or not, of course. But I think tactically, I do think this game probably suits us a bit more than the Leeds game.
Yeah,
and we have obviously, how many more days extra rest do we have? 5 days?
A significant amount, yeah, because we played
Monday night,
so we've got 8 days,
right?
and they played Saturday, and they played an FA Cup final, which took a lot out of them. Apparently, a lot of them were going down with cramp that game.
They were.
So I think that's significant. I really do. If you're going down with cramp on Saturday and you're asked to go again in a big North London derby 3 days later, I mean, I don't know. Is that fanciful thinking that they can be in full peak physical condition for 90 minutes? Are they going to have to make significant changes in the game and not play their best team? I don't know. They might have to.
Yeah, 100%. You would think so. You would think so, unless they play some of them for an hour, they make subs. But Caicedo seems to be definitely waning, and he seems to be struggling, to be honest, all season with his with that real intense physicality. He doesn't seem to be the same player he was, especially in the first half of the season. He's struggling. I think Enzo, he seems to be lacking with something recently as well. They're saying João Pedro picked up a knock, so he's been probably their best player recently, and he's struggling. I do wonder if
is he a doubt going into the game, João Pedro?
I think so. I think that's what Lewis was saying. I don't know if we've heard from McFarlane yet.
He has. He's done his press conference, McFarlane.
So let me see. What's Premier Injury saying then about him? Chelsea injuries.
So Esteval out.
Gittins, Lavia, Mudryk. Didn't say anything about João Pedro, to be fair. Doesn't say anything about him.
Yeah.
But I wonder if they'll go back to a back four. I think they probably will.
I wonder how much that Brazil World Cup selection has knocked João Pedro. Because, whatever you want to say about João Pedro, he has had a very good season. He's been Chelsea's best player this season from an offensive standpoint. Scored so many goals in the Premier League this year, and they're calling up Neymar ahead of him. I was so shocked.
I don't think they've actually announced it yet.
I thought they have.
No, I don't.
It was an official squad.
No, I don't think it was. See, I don't think that's an official thing.
Is it not official?
No, I don't think it is. Because Neymar was asked about it on the weekend. He was like, yeah, hopefully I'll be picked. And he was like, whatever decision the manager makes, I'll respect. So I don't think it's actually been... I think this is a fake graphic. Yeah. It's yet to be released.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's these graphics circulating, but I don't think they're real.
On the flip side of that, if it is a fake graphic, which looks like it is, then he'll be playing for his World Cup squad spot.
See, now, I don't know if this is a real graphic. This was an hour ago. I know, satire. That's not a real graphic. Anyway, I think, yeah, for sure. If he is playing, he's playing for that place, 100%. I reckon they probably go back to a back four. I don't know if they play a back three against us. I don't know what I'd prefer, but I think they probably revert to a back four.
So, I mean, Levi Colwell's just coming back, so I don't expect him to play 2 games in the space of 4 days. Fofana, I mean, we know his injury problems. He'll probably play, though. He'll probably be, James? James at right back? Maybe they'll move him back to right back with...
He's another one who struggles to play 2 in a few short space of time.
Got so many of them, though, don't they? Like that. Cucurella will definitely play left back. Maybe you'll see a back 2 of Fofana and Tosin. Right back, you'll see Gusto or James. In the midfield, you're probably looking at Caicedo, Enzo, and who else? Santos. And then a front 3 of João Pedro, Cole Palmer, and either Neto or Garnacho.
Yeah, I wonder if he changes it, if he puts Palmer back in the 10 and then puts Enzo a bit deeper, which I think would be good for us if he did that, because that would leave so much space. But he hasn't been doing that. Obviously, he's been playing Palmer off the right. But the thing is, Palmer hasn't been playing well off the right. So he could change it. Obviously, we're trying to predict based off what they've done. But Palmer's been off it, hasn't he, recently?
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder for this game, does McFarlane think, okay, we're going to go at Tottenham, we're going to put Palmer down the middle, and we're going to put like Neto or something down on the right, and we're going to really go at them. I wouldn't be surprised if he does that.
Yeah.
But I think that might not be a bad thing, because I think Enzo and Caicedo and Palmer as a middle three, we have the physicality to dominate that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the physicality. Do we have the quality? We've seen the front line struggling. Even when we've been picking up points, we've seen them struggle. Like, where are these goals going to come from? How are we going to break them down? Who is going to be the player?
Well, if Palmer does play on the right, I also think that's not a bad thing, because I can't see him tracking a doggy all the way back. I don't think he'll be doing that. So I think that gives a doggy a bit of a free ride, I reckon. So we could really utilise our left-hand side, I think. That would be a side I would attack if they play Palmer on the right. Obviously, he's got to be careful leaving Palmer free, but that is something I'll definitely look at for sure. I think Tell and the doggy could definitely cause some damage there off the right-hand side. And I think just trying to physically press that midfield into submission with our midfield three, I think that would be the way to go, because Caicedo, as we said, he seems to be waning. I don't know about Andre Santos or if it's Reece James. They just don't seem to have that same intensity.
Yeah.
So that's probably been one of the biggest pluses since De Zerbi's come in, just the intensity of our middle three. You could all have complaints about on the ball and stuff, which are also, I think they've been better under De Zerbi, but maybe they're still not at an amazing level. But off the ball, I think that intensity they've been showing, I think that's where teams have been struggling to deal with us. Just how often we're getting in position, they're being disciplined, but they're also winning those second balls. They're not giving the opposition midfield time and space. They're struggling to do that, especially for the first hour of games. So I think that's something we just got to hone in on.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem I see is if we do concede early, right? We've seen us shit the bed, like I mentioned before. But when we do concede early, all composure seems to go out the door. We're not winning those second balls anymore. If we do concede earlier, I don't think we win this game. I think we might not even take a point if we concede early.
Yeah, if the crowd get up for it and all of a sudden Chelsea got, momentum on their side and they're going at us. And we know when they've got good players, if they got momentum on with them, they can be very dangerous. And so you definitely got to be wary of that. I also think one thing we could definitely do is force their centre-backs into mistakes. 100%.
Absolutely.
You press the shit out of their centre-backs.
That's
and you make
Mr. Conor Gallagher steps
exactly. You make it difficult for their defenders.
I have had visions of it for weeks. Conor Gallagher scoring at the bridge.
You saw against Forest, their centre-backs were making errors galore in that game. If they're not, obviously, if Colwell's not fit enough, which is likely, I think you put real pressure on those centre backs. They will. I don't think they'll stand up to scrutiny, and that's one way. And obviously, the don't know who they're going to play in goal, but their keepers can make mistakes as well, passing out the back.
Could be Sanchez in goal.
Could be, but it could be Jorgensen.
Sanchez, I mean, did start the cup final. Sanchez has started every game. He was just not against Liverpool because he was injured.
Because he had the headband.
Yeah, he went off injured against Forest, obviously. Then he didn't start against Liverpool. Then he was back in for the cup final. So it will be Sanchez.
Well, he could be that. He's one who could definitely make mistakes. I mean, they both can. They're both not that great, in my opinion. They both.
That's why we need to test him. We need to test Sanchez. Shoot on sight kind of thing. If you have any sort of loose balls on the edge of the box, Conor Gallagher, rifle one in, test that keeper early because he can make mistakes.
What we need to do is we need to make sure that when Chelsea are playing out the back, we are on them like a rash. And we need to make sure that if you're going to beat our press and you're going to play for us, you're going to have to be sharp and you're going to have to be perfect with your passing. And, we can't stand off them. We need to be right in their face because I think if we are on them and they're not at 100% sharpness, there are mistakes there. There are mistakes there. And if they're making mistakes and they're giving us goals, that will lower the confidence, that'll quieten the crowd, and all of a sudden, that's where we can take control.
I think there is a bit of a danger going into this game, knowing that a point keeps us safe. That, I think De Zerbi has to drill it into them, saying, no, it's not a point we need. We need 3 points in this game. We can't be caught in that two minds saying, oh, we're not going to go for that because we just need a point. Sometimes you can play for a draw, and I don't like that. When you play for a draw, usually you end up losing, right? So we need to have in our minds that a draw, we can't. A draw's not suffice. It doesn't suffice in this game. We have to go for 3 points. I don't want to see that kind of headspace where you're trying to go and play for a draw. We need to play it like it's any other game. De Zerbi play his tactics, play his way. You know De Zerbi won't be going for that draw, but it might be a mentality of the players going into this.
Yeah, I think obviously it depends on the game state. I definitely think from the start that's how we'll be playing. We're going to be going at them. We're going to try and take the lead. I think the best way to get the result is obviously to have goals in advantage. I don't think we're going to be starting that game wasting time from the 20th minute or anything like that, and just going long and just being in a low block the whole game. I don't think we do that. We go for them, and I think we're going to try and take the lead. But if it is 1-1 or 0-0 going into the last 10 minutes, I wouldn't be surprised if we do go a bit more pragmatic and just try and see it out.
I don't mind that in the last 5 minutes, holding on to what you got. But from the get-go, we need to be so aggressive. We need to go for them, like you mentioned. We just need to go for it. And I think we can win tomorrow. I really believe we can win this game. I know our record at Stamford Bridge is horrible. I know we've got PTSD playing against Chelsea. We've had good games against them and still haven't got over the line. But this is our best opportunity to go to Stamford Bridge and take all 3 points. And I think we're going to do it.
We can do it. We can definitely do it. I think if there wasn't this hoodoo, I would be confident that we can go there and win. When the hoodoos in Tottenham don't seem to do too well. So that's, psychologically, these things obviously do make a difference, but there is so much riding on this game. I think De Zerbi has been one. What I like about De Zerbi and what gives me hope we can win tomorrow is he's been so big on changing that mentality of the team, and he's been on it from day one, changing the mentality, changing the narrative in these players' minds about where they are, what's happening, and all this kind of stuff. And I think the players have really bought into that. So I don't think De Zerbi's going to care that we've got this bad record at Stamford Bridge. I don't think he's going to be even mentioning it. I don't think it's going to be a thing. He's going to be telling these players, doesn't matter what this record is, we can go there and win. We have to go there confident. We've got a team good enough to go there and win. And I think that's going to get us the result that we need.
Well, let's get the job done tomorrow night, people. Let's get the job done. Let's put into the back of our minds this relegation talk. And let's go into that last game of the season against Everton with not a care in the world, where it doesn't matter if we lose, doesn't matter if we win. We know we're going to be playing Premier League football next season. So massive night tomorrow night. You've got big watch-alongs. Come and join the watch-along tomorrow with Himothy and Ashmatic. Me and Sim both going to be at Stamford Bridge tomorrow.
Yeah, if we do get a result tomorrow, would that rank as a great night for Tottenham? Obviously, in the context, yes.
It's not a great night for Tottenham.
Huh?
It's not a great night for Tottenham.
No.
We're getting away with it this season.
But would it be a night you look back on as an iconic night?
That amazing night that we survived in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge. No,
yeah, but let's say we won, a last-minute winner to secure survival.
That's all great. Whenever you... Even if there's nothing to play for.
I know, but would that not be an iconic moment?
Bridge. Iconic? Nah.
No? Why
not? Not for me. Iconic. Surviving in the Premier League, iconic.
Yeah, but we talk about Klinsmann saving us from the Premier League. That was iconic.
I think the iconic thing about Klinsmann was his celebration and his dive celebration, because he came into the Premier League and everyone's like, all he does is dive.
No, but he scored 4 at Wimbledon when we were in a relegation battle. People still remember that, don't they?
Yeah, but Spurs were in a very different situation back then. We were a different club.
I know, but the point
We're in the
is...
Champions League final not long ago. We won the Europa League last season. I'm not having that. Staying in the Premier League against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge is going to be an iconic moment. It'll be great. It'll be a great night, and I'll enjoy it very much. But iconic, nah. But
it's one of those moments on Premier League years, it'll be one of the big moments of the season. It's like one of those things where, because this could be so... I understand it's been a horrible season. But there are still moments that still live long in memory, don't they? And iconic means that that's something you remember for a long time as a special moment. And if we do secure survival at Stamford Bridge, as painful as the season has been, that could be a moment you remember, especially if we go on to turn it around under Zerbi.
If we survive against Chelsea and we score a last-minute winner, a last-minute equaliser, wherever it may be, it'll be amazing for the night. But every single part of this season, I am going to want to forget very, very quickly and
apart from that day,
season, even that day.
I don't forget
it all. I don't want anything to do with this season. It has been a shambles from start to finish, and surviving at Stamford Bridge ain't going to change that for me. It's really not.
No one disagrees. I'm talking about, would that game, if it happens tomorrow, would it be an iconic moment?
I've told you, I don't think so.
Why not? Okay, we'll agree to disagree. I think it could be. I think it'll be. It depends how it goes, but I think it could be a day that we look back on as that could have been a sliding doors moment. And if it goes in our favour, and then we turn it around, we'll look back on that. Or we'll look back on Tuesday as the day that that saved us, and then we can turn it around.
Yeah, it's definitely the day that saved us, but. Like I said, I don't ever want to remember anything from this season ever again. I really don't. But look, I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. But let's just hope we get the job done tomorrow night and we can celebrate on the night and then never have to think about relegation ever again.
100%.
Let's hope so. But look, that is it. We'll be there at Stamford Bridge tomorrow, so very much looking forward to that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you all tomorrow, people. Big day. Big day.
Massive.
Like, subscribe, and comment